Hello and welcome back to another beautiful episode on Opulence with Jia. I am your host, Jia, the clear channel for Mother Agua, the mother of the seas and the Marcadians. And today is going to be I'm going to call it the girls' talk. The girls' talk. And of course, if you're a man, you're most welcome to. But it's just that it's going to feel very warm, fuzzy, cozy. It's going to feel like sleepover vibes. It's going to definitely feel like a big party because I am introducing and bringing on my most dearest friend, Nancy, who is a well-known makeup expert, started her career as an influencer of social media and is now known as a makeup artist. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Gia. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to have you here. And the reason why it will feel so cushiony and cozy is because me and Nancy are both one of those women that have literally taken every traumatic experience that's happened to us and alchemized it into gold. And we are now at that point in our lives where, like, okay, we're actually thriving. Like, we did not get caught up in the same loops and patterns and cycles that, our ancestors did, our parents did, our siblings did. We actually rose above that, shattered it. And it is the daily work. It is daily work. And it's not just taking one shadow class, it's not just taking one breathwork class, it's daily work because you're living and experiencing this in lifetime. And yes, I am talking about thriving as a brown girl, away from all cultural, all ancestral, societal programming that's constantly shoving things down our throat.
Yes. Go us.
Seriously, go us, because I think a lot of people underestimate um, what it actually takes to even vocalize in front of your own nuclear family when you are being like raised traditional Punjabi background, I would say, or any other background in cultural setting. It's
Mhm.
even that sometimes takes so much effort just to be like, no.
Yeah, it does. It started at a early age for us, and I'm happy that it did because we're here now and we're thriving.
I know. So like talking about early stages, I know mine was I've always been a rebel. I've always been a rebel. I literally came out of the womb saying no. Like, people don't know this. My first word actually wasn't mom or dad. It wasn't mama, dada. No, it was actually appi, which in Punjabi means I'll do it on my own.
I love that.
It was
I
literally
love that.
appi. Like, I'll do it. I'll do it on.
Yeah.
So literally, I was like 6 months old yelling people uppy uppy. So I think I knew what I signed up for. I
Yeah.
just forgotten in the past. But for me, like talking back and rebelling literally started at the age of 7.
Yep.
When did it start for you? Do you remember?
For me, it was probably around 5 because I was told that I have to braid my hair and I have to keep it that way. But I was so into like fashion and like trying new things, I cut off my braid. I was like, no,
You cut off
I
your
want
braid
my
at
own.
5?
Yeah, I cut off my braid. I cut off the end of my braid. I did. And then I cut off my own eyelashes too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I cut all of my lashes off, which is insane, but I wanted to make wishes because I'm like, I need everybody to stop controlling me.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I
You
cut
poor
them
thing.
off. Wishes, yeah.
At 5? Now, see, I'm still in shock. Like you just knew that
Yeah,
eyelashes were wishes and you could do it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't really find my voice, I would say, until like my preteen and teenage era. But the actions, girl, they started like earlier on.
Yeah, yeah, same for me. And I don't know about you, but like I'm the youngest in my family. I have an older brother. It's just two
Yeah,
of us. But I was always the authority of the family. Like whenever my parents needed to make a decision, when they needed advice or guidance, they would literally turn around to 4-year-old little Gia and ask her.
yeah,
And I didn't know at that point that I was channeling, right? Like I'm 4. I'm just blabbing away. But they were
yeah,
aware, right? But
yeah.
it started really young for me too. And it was as silly as that. It was like, do a braid, you can't wear sleeveless, you can't wear shorts. And it was me coming home and cutting up all my jeans into shorts. And I told them, you have the wrong information. I went outside and I saw girls wearing shorts.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Yeah.
what? Like, yeah, I went to school and I don't know why you keep telling me I can't wear shorts when everyone else is wearing shorts. So I started
Yeah. I was in,
that. But obviously,
yeah.
that's like childhood, right? Those are like little things compared to the battles that kind of started happening when I was obviously I was fighting for the car as a girl. I had to fight to go watch my first movie with my friends. I had to over explaining everything. Like I had to provide so
Yeah.
much explanation for everything, like all of that. Yeah, but I still went and did it and I rebelled and rebelled and rebelled. But it got really
Mhm.
tough when I say because again, there's a lot of cultural programming here at play. A lot of
Yeah.
cultural programming where they feel like a daughter should be kept a certain way. And it's not to anyone's fault. Like, I'm not shaming and blaming my parents because they were so programmed to think that was the best way to raise me. They were literally doing
Mhm.
their best by like telling me not to wear sleeveless and shorts. They thought they were
Yep.
protecting me, but they forgot I'm not in a village, that my surroundings are completely different. I'm actually not in a culture. I'm not in a culture. When I go to
Yep.
school, I'm not in a culture. I'm there's nothing happening cultural there, right? And at
Mhm.
home it was very cultural to the point where
Yeah.
I was constantly told, oh, don't act like this at your in-laws. You did this here, that's okay. But make sure you don't do it when you go to your in-laws. That started very young
Mhm.
for me, by the way. Like again, primary school. Like why
Yeah.
is a 6 year old being told, oh, you put your dishes wrong, don't do this at your mother-in-law's house? You know,
Yeah.
like that, like the cultural sayings and phases that we normalize that are not normal. Like no 6 year old should be thinking about a mother-in-law. It's not normal, but it gets imprinted, right? But for me
Yeah.
as an adult, which was like such an eye-opener, and it took me a lot of time to undo this. And of course, we are clearing out the lineage trauma, right? As we're moving
Mhm.
through this. But
Yeah.
when I became an adult, right? When I was literally like 2021, whatever, it came really apparent to me that my parents, like many other of their generation, from India, whatever, they viewed their children as an investment. So it's like, we're going to take care of you now because you're a child, but when you grow up, you're responsible for us. And I
Yeah.
don't,
Many,
yeah, like I don't agree with that. Just because you're the son of the family, it doesn't mean you're responsible now to carry the whole burden. Like, I'm sorry,
yeah.
it's complete BS. You're your own individual, you have sovereignty, you can decide. But that's the thing. The way, and again, this is very personal experiences. People that are tuning in, you may or may not relate, but we're raised in a very community mindset, right? Log ki kahange, what will people say? How will we look to society? Make sure you do this and
Yeah.
that, right? Make sure you fit in. Oh, just talk to them. That's your aunt, uncle. You shouldn't be mad. You should respect your elders, this and that, this and that. We're constantly actually being programmed and told we're not being placed in a position to be sovereign beings.
Yeah.
We're
Completely agree.
constantly
Yeah.
being positioned to have attachments to people
Mhm.
because they're everything. And if those
Yep.
people, places, and things don't exist, and it's like, oh my gosh, who are we now? You're nobody
Yeah.
but a husband if you're not a woman. You're nobody if this happens. If the elder dies of the house, oh, the house will fall apart. Like they make it such attachment. They
Mhm.
always constantly are imprinting. And again, they're not aware of this. It's really subconscious programming that they're
Yeah.
causing attachments to these people, places, and things. And when these people, places, and things vanish, all of a sudden the individual feels like they are not enough and it becomes a whole worth issue. And then as an adult, you're struggling in relationships, you're struggling with your income, you can't make money, you can't show
Mhm.
up, you can't dress up, you can't take care of yourself because you were never given the opportunity from a sovereign place to decide for yourself who you want to talk to, who you want to be, and how you want to act. It was all about, oh, you have to do this. Please, you're my child. You're my son. The sake of your mother. Like things like that were said constantly, sake of your father,
Yeah.
whatever, go do this and that. And it was constant imprinting and attachment to things. So, of course, as an adult, the first thing girls, and I'm seeing this a lot, that they do, especially with females, because again, I'm a female. I don't know how males feel about this. Maybe they can let us know in the comments. They
Yeah.
immediately start looking for a mate. Immediately, soon as they're like 16, 17, they're like, how the F do I find my husband? Because that is a programming. And the programming is you leave your father's house with a husband,
Yeah. Yeah.
not shown any other possibility. You're not given any other possibility. That's just the structure that you are meant to follow. And a lot of people I'm finding now, they're so desperate to leave their parental home, they're just getting married. And
Yeah, it's looked at as like a ticket out, which is unfortunate because sometimes you can also make the wrong decision because you're not thinking from like a sovereign place. You're thinking just, how do I get out of this? Right?
yeah,
So I find that a lot of I asked my page actually, like my audience, what type of cycles they broke. A lot of women responded by saying, I moved in with my partner before marriage. And it was so nice to see because we're so used to the mindset of if you want to leave this house, if you want to live by yourself, you have to get married first. If you want to travel, you have to travel with your husband. Can't go by yourself.
oh yeah. It's a heavy
Yeah.
programming. It's a heavy,
It,
it's literally a programming. It is. It's a constant imprinting and a programming. And I remember too, when I had my relationship, I started to bring my partner around and people were very shocked. They're like, oh,
mhm.
you're gonna come? And I'm like, yeah, like obviously I want this person to be a part of my life and see how my family moves, right? But even my relationship, my past relationship was very it was not traditional, I would say.
Mhm.
It wasn't because we did travel, we did sleep over each other's houses, we spent a lot of time with each other, our parents and everything, and it was beautiful because we got to mingle with the whole family. It was actually such
Yeah.
a beautiful thing, but in the beginning, it was a fight. It was a
Mhm.
fight for me. I had to battle for that freedom, which is normal. It's actually normal to want to
Yeah.
be out with your partner. It's very normal. So I can definitely relate to that, breaking the cycle by moving out and without marriage. Like that's a big thing.
Mhm.
Hats off to people that were able to do that because I don't even know how your fight went. I can only imagine the battle you had to endure at home. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it takes a lot, but there's just this massive programming that you have to surrender to the community constantly, like to your family, to your relatives, and you have to mold yourself and so forth.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back to sovereignty. That's the main topic here. I can't even tell you how many times I'm shocked when I mention the word sovereignty. A lot of people don't know what that is. They're like, what are you saying? What is that word? What is sovereignty? I've never heard of it.
Mhm.
And it breaks my heart. It's mostly my South Asian woman clients.
Yeah. Because we're not taught that, right? From a young age. We're just taught to constantly be something. There's so many expectations placed on us. When you're young, okay, take care of your siblings. If you're the eldest, I was the eldest. Although it was my choice to take care of my siblings, I was parentified at a very young age. And then it's like, okay, you go study. Then once you hit 20, it's like, okay, have you found a partner yet? When are you getting married? Once you're married, then it's like, when are you having kids?
Mm,
It never stops, and it feels like you don't have control of your own life because you're always trying to hit a certain expectation.
yeah,
And I'm not just talking about family, it's just how our community is as a collective, always asking the invasive question. So when are you doing this? When are you doing that? When are you getting a new job? When are you having kids? So yeah, it's a struggle, but again, we've made that situation into gold
yeah,
because people literally ask those questions back.
yeah.
I,
Me too.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah,
I was gonna say that nobody asks me any questions because they're terrified of me.
good,
They're
good.
really terrified of me because I will rip them a new one on the spot. Like I've always been like that.
Yeah,
I've always been like that. And a lot of people don't know this either, but like I was a chubby person in the
yeah,
past. I was not this fit. I did not have this body.
Yeah.
Uh, this is a body I've created. Literally, this is a my original look without distortions, without traumas, without energies that are not mine. I've shed all that weight off. I've actually
Yeah.
lost like 100 pounds. So the big thing was when I was growing up, I was body shamed a lot. Don't wear spaghetti straps. You have broad shoulders. Don't wear this. You look fat. Oh, look at their daughters. They're so skinny. Why aren't you skinny? Like I was told that
Hmm.
a constant as a child. And now I'm kind of like, it doesn't even matter. And I seen it. People treat you different at certain weights and
We,
sizes. People treat you different. They really, really do. And now I have the
yeah.
same auntie trying to come up to me and ask me, "Oh, what diet do you do?" And I go, "I don't consume you, period."
I'm gonna save that one. I'm gonna write that one in my
Literally, literally.
yeah.
Seriously, I said no to all of my ancestral toxic patterns. I said no to cultural programming. I said no to societal programming. I started just being
Yeah.
myself. I started losing
Yeah.
weight. It became so easy for me because it was never mine. That's the thing. It was never
Yeah.
mine. And that's the other thing too. When you don't have sovereignty in all aspects of your life and you're not radiating your authentic being, your avatar doesn't look like you.
Yeah. I can
It,
completely relate to that because so many times I've looked in the mirror and I'm like, this weight isn't mine. And those were the times where I wasn't in my sovereignty. I let other people around me have control over me to the point where, Gia, I literally could not even recognize myself in the mirror.
yeah.
Now, when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, it's a completely different person, right? So I completely agree. I mean, like me too. I was a chubby kid growing up. I
Mm,
was bullied for it in school. I was bullied by family. Thankfully I had two loving parents that never really like pushed me to lose weight or like dress a certain way. But after my mom passed, I had no idea who I was anymore because my worth was constantly like I feel like as a child, a lot of my emotions were suppressed. I was always told you have too much attitude. You're too moody. You're too angry. I was constantly being told what my emotions were all the time. I had one person who understood me, and when that person left Earth, it was like I had no idea who I was.
yeah.
So it was a very, very difficult time for me. And, thankfully now I'm in control of my emotions and I know that I can express my emotions in a healthy way. But I feel like a lot of girls struggle with this. It's like you're told constantly, don't be too emotional.
Mm,
You don't look good. You're not a good girl if you're always angry, if you're always talking back. My mom started breaking the cycles, and I had that as a role model to look up to. So I knew that I could use my voice and I could be safe if I used my voice because she role modeled that for me. So now I carry her light inside of me and I'm not afraid to speak up. So when auntie are like, oh, tu bahut moti ho gayi, I'm like, yo, auntie, you know what? Hit the gym with me. Let's
yeah.
both get a gym membership.
Yeah.
उसी
Yeah.
भी मेरे नाम से.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. Good for
And then
you.
they shut up.
Good for you. Yeah. People literally, like
Yeah.
I said, don't ask me questions. Like they don't. And I have very
Yeah.
extremes in my family now because I've always been a mufat, literally. And I had the same thing. Like I was always told I was too much growing up. You're too tall. You're too big. Oh, you're too loud.
Yeah.
You talk too much and all of this nonsense. Um,
Mhm.
and there was no place for celebration for me to say, right? Like not being celebrated for who I am, constantly being dimmed, telling me, stay low, act like this person's daughter, that
Yeah.
comparison and so forth. But yeah, for me,
Mhm.
it's very extremes. Like in my family, it's either that I'm loved and I'm worshipped or I'm completely isolated. Like no one comes near me. So it's very
Okay.
extreme to that level now. But that's the thing. If when I go into your space and you're giving me a cold shoulder and you're giving me the feeling of isolation that I'm not welcomed, trust me, I will never come back. Like I'm
Yeah, I'm the exact same way.
yeah, I'm very quick at boundary
Yeah,
and cutting people off. I don't care whose daughter you are. I don't care whose mom you are. I don't care. There are many relatives' houses
yeah,
that I stopped going to literally soon as I turned 18. I was like, I'm not going there. They have some weird vibes in their house.
yeah.
If the energy's off for me there, I'm not going there. So, I would just make myself busy. I'd pick up an extra shift at work. I would go see a friend. I would just make myself busy. I wouldn't go.
Mhm.
And I think that is also something women really struggle with, which is literally honoring yourself and
Yeah,
not allowing anyone else to kind of dim you down
yeah.
because of that,
You have
right?
to, yeah, you have to place that boundary, right? That's a part of honoring yourself is making the difficult decision of placing the boundary. Because, like I explained, my, emotions were really suppressed as a child, right? So what naturally happened was other people's needs and emotions became above mine. So I ended up being a people pleaser for a good decade of my life. And it was always about, okay, what does this person want? What does this person need? It was never about how I actually felt on the inside. And then making really, really important life decisions from a place of always being a people pleaser, you can really mess up your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not in your own power. Other people are kind of it's like you've been hijacked by other people's emotions and
You
their needs.
You
Yeah,
literally, yeah. Yeah, as an energy perspective, like giving a more spiritual tone onto this, it's like you're allowing other people's belief systems to become yours. You're adapting to them.
exactly. Exactly.
And also, people pleasing is a major, major trauma response we have within the South Asian community.
We do.
It's a
Yep.
trauma response, and people don't acknowledge that. They think, no, no, like, oh, I love this person. Oh, it's like my aunt, it's my cousin. Oh, it's okay. They'll like sugarcoat it. But
Yeah.
I'm like, no, genuinely ask yourself if you even want to participate in this. Because the
Yeah.
thing is, it's a trauma response. It's a trauma response of being neglected. It's a trauma response of being betrayed and abandoned, of, not being the good girl. It's a major trauma response.
Yeah.
It's
And the community will sorry to interrupt you. The community will kind of sugarcoat it as this is just the way it is. This is just the way girls are supposed to be. And
yeah,
that's what I have a problem with because how are you telling me how I am supposed to be? So I've been battling that for quite some time, and thankfully I have made my own programming now. I've stepped aside and completely cut that programming from my brain, and
mhm,
it took some time to relearn everything,
yeah,
but you can step out of it even though it feels impossible. You can 100% step out of that.
yeah. I I like we're living proofs, you and me both. Like both
Yeah.
of us. I took a very heavy spiritual and energetic route. I accelerated the cutting and the roots. I cleared out the lineage through energy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like just cutting out the blockages and everything and doing the deep, deep inner work. And I always say this, people are always trying to be very spiritual, which I totally encourage and recommend. You should definitely explore your
Mhm.
spiritual side, but the
Yeah.
emotional endurance and
That
tolerance
it takes. Yeah.
that it
Mhm.
takes, I don't have words for it. I
Yeah.
don't have words for it. Like when you are so on your mission to say or on your purpose,
Yeah.
you will be leaving a lot behind.
That includes people.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You'll be leaving a lot behind. Your old ways of being, your old ways of doing, the old people, everything will be shedding off of you. That is not a frequency match to you anymore. And if
Mhm.
that is a thought that really scares you and you can't lose people, well, then you have your answer. You can't ascend.
Yeah.
Not allowing it, not to no one's fault. And again, I'm not trying to bash or blame someone here. It's just you genuinely don't want it. And that's also okay. It's okay not to want that too. But
Yeah.
it's to recognize that if you are going to set on out on a journey of deep healing and inner work, be ready to see major shifts.
Yeah.
Like you and
No,
me,
I
we've
completely
called in
agree.
miracles. Like we've called in miracles with literally like energy work, our thoughts, our inner work, everything, right? And
Yeah.
it's work. It's reason why they call it work. But then when you
Mhm.
get to the point where it's just done, it is not work. It's a blissful state now that we
Yeah.
get to live in 24/7, 24/7. I am really curious to know, Nancy, from your perspective as well, because obviously I'm a spiritual entrepreneur. I do it for a living. I'm heavily on my mission, breathing in the,
Yeah.
but you coming in as a makeup artist, right? Being highly intuitive and being an empath growing up. What are some of the tools and techniques and modalities that you actually used to shift your life?
Well, I would say I obviously didn't have like the easiest life, right? Growing up from like a young age, a lot of girls could say that. Like life isn't easy for a lot of us, but things that I used that completely shifted my experience was my belief in God. I don't want to be cliche. I
No,
don't want to, yeah. So when my mom passed away, Gia, I literally threw out all of my Babaji pictures. Like
hmm.
I threw everything in the trash. As disrespectful as it was, in my rage, I was so angry at God. I'm like, how dare you take away such a good person? She was an amazing person, such a kind person, a warm soul. And I'm like, how could this happen to such a good person? And that too, like, how could you strip away a mother from a child? Right? So I was angry for a very long time, but it was God that got me through it. I remember in my early 20s, I was so severely depressed, and you know this, right? I was very, very depressed, and I was diagnosed with severe depression as well. I wasn't on any sort of medication because I refused to take it. There was like a part of me that believed that, I could do this on my own. I could do this on my own. One day, I literally woke up and I had a little pact with myself, right? It was a very, very dark period of my life. I'm like, if life doesn't get better by the time I'm 25, I'm gonna exit. Yeah. Sorry to get all dark there, but I feel like I have to say this because a lot of girls struggle with this. It's
Mm.
like when bad things keep on happening again and again, we lose sight in the good. We start to believe, oh, I'm not worthy of good things or good things aren't going to happen to me because XYZ. It's just natural. It's how the brain thinks, right? The brain needs evidence to believe something. And when bad things keep happening to you, um, the brain thinks, okay, things are never going to improve. I woke up one day, Gia, and I'm like, I literally took scissors and I'm like, no, I'm cutting this depression off of me. This depression isn't mine. I'm literally cutting it off of me. There's a
Hmm.
lot of energy work and things like that too that got me to believe again. And obviously my journey kind of started picking up, like going really fast after that. After I found my belief in the universe and God and source, whatever you want to believe in.
Yeah.
And I would also say get help. Like if you think that you need therapy or you need counseling, do that. I know it's very taboo in our culture,
Yep.
but again, if you want something really badly, you have to get it. Like as uncomfortable as it is, people are going to talk. You don't even have to tell anybody. Just go do it. I went through about like 6 therapists, didn't work on me. And then I found a spiritual life coach who completely transformed my life. And that's something that worked for me. And I'm not afraid to share it because there's no like linear path, right? To kind of get rid of how you're feeling and like mental illness. Um, you have to find your own route. And that's, I think a lot of people, like when I looked at myself in the mirror that day, Gia, when I'm like, I refuse to have depression, I literally had to face my truth. I had to do a lot of shadow work. What was I not being accountable for?
Hmm.
What truth was I avoiding? So it's not just like this rainbow butterfly, journey that's just like, yeah, one day you just wake up and you're not depressed anymore. No, it's you have to do the work. And
Yeah.
like you said in the beginning too, every single day I do the work. There isn't a day that goes by where I cannot do the work. It's almost like putting on makeup or doing skincare. Like it's very integrated in my routine. And that's how I take care of myself. It's to check in with my feelings, check in how I'm feeling. If I'm at a family function and I don't like the people I'm around, I leave. Now I've gotten to the point where I don't even attend the functions and I don't feel bad about it because there is a guilty conscience. I think there's two types. There's one type that's like, I feel guilty and I hate myself for it. It's like that self-sabotaging voice that comes in. And then there's another voice that's like, you know what, Nancy? You're honoring yourself. Feel the guilt, but you can move on from this. And that is the voice I started listening to because I was done with it, Gia. I was done self-sabotaging myself for so many years for not fitting people's expectations.
Yeah.
I was over it. Like I'm like, this is ending right here, right now. So I can't really say, I did X, Y, Z. I just hit a time period where I was fed up of my own BS, to be quite clear. There comes a time where you really have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you willing to make the change? And the change, again, isn't like this beautiful, field of flowers. No, it's not that. You still have bad days, but you have to remember that, things are happening for me and not to me. It was a lot of brain rewiring, brain retraining that I'm still doing yet to this day, to be quite honest. But that's what helped me in the end to make the shift.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing all that because I think that's a really spiritual but yet realistic point of view of how change actually happens. It's literally your choices.
Yeah.
It's literally your choice. And that's what I kind of meant earlier when I said, okay, when you decide to ascend, right, into your highest self, you have the choice. You can go full into your purpose, into your mission. You can go full-fledged into it. Or
Yeah.
if you're not ready, you don't have to. But it's a choice. It's a choice you made that day. You made a declaration with full conviction to yourself
Yeah.
that I am not going to accept this reality. I'm going to accept this reality because there is a field of possibility out there. And again, growing up as a South Asian woman, we're not, or South Asian children, I'm going to say, we're not shown this field of possibility. We're shown a lot
Mhm.
of programming,
Yeah.
constant imprinting. Oh, these are traditions. You have to follow this and do that and that and that. And that's my entire topic today. It's like the sovereignty part, because if when you're a sovereign being, like you said, you went fully in and you ask yourself, what does Nancy want? That's you being
Yeah.
that is you being 100% sovereign, and you decided what reality was going to be yours, and that's it. And the universe started dropping things back to back to you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's it. Literally happens. It literally does. And where there is that dilemma, a little bit of hiccup, where there's a lot of accumulation in the head, energy work does support and just pushing all of that down and the blockage. But again, that's also a choice. Everything is a choice. So when
Yeah.
it comes down to even living your life, whether you're, programmed and conditioned to think a certain way because you've been raised in a certain environment, you still have the choice to take a pause, look around, and be like, okay, is this actually supporting me in my dreams? Is this
Yeah.
actually like supporting me in my dreams? And I'm honestly just gonna let it rip now because as you can tell, like, no, literally, like I can't attend Indian weddings. I don't
Yeah. I'm
know.
hitting that point now too where I can't.
I can't do it. I'm so sorry. Like I love the people. God bless you and your love story and the couples are nice. I just think it's such a fucking circus.
It is.
Nobody knows why they're there. Nobody knows what the traditions mean. They're just doing them because their
Yeah.
freaking grandma did them. I'm like, I'm done. I'm sorry. And you should be paying me. I should be compensated for being here because literally you're taking up 7 days out of my month. That's a whole week.
Yeah.
Like, I should be paid now to attend this. There are just so much people pleasing, so much like, because the thing is with me again, I see energy. I
Yeah.
I can't turn it off. I can't. So
Mhm.
I can feel the frequency of the chura. And by
Mhm.
the way, if you don't know why we wear chura, I highly recommend you look into it because it's not so pleasant. And it's a red bangles I'm referring to if you don't know what chura is. The chura, the klire, the nut, everything is representing captivating a woman,
Mhm.
taking your sovereignty away as a woman.
Yeah.
Man is being celebrated. The woman is being literally held hostage. That's like that is the frequency of marriage I get. And I'm sorry. And Indian people hype it up and they make it their entire life goal to go get married and to marry their children and to save money for the wedding and to get gold for the wedding. Everything is about a wedding. But then the wedding represents captivating women. And I'm sorry, like, sure, people may disagree with me or whatever, but marriage is for the law. It has nothing to do with your religion or anything else. It's a sacred union
Mhm.
between you and your partner that matters. And then everything on top of that, you're doing it for the law, mother-in-law, father-in-law. There's a reason for those words.
Mhm.
There's spell casting, right? Again and again and again. And a lot of the traditions that are being done in Indian weddings, I'm like, do you even know why you're doing this? And no one knows, but they keep doing it. And they waste so much money, energy, and time. And it's not worth it to me. Sorry. It just looks like a big fat circus. Like I don't like it. I absolutely do not like it. Even like the rasam chunni we have, which is putting the veil over the bride's head. I highly recommend you Google that and look at that why we do that because that's also going to give you the creepy GPs. Because I started to feel nauseous at weddings and I thought it was the food. I thought maybe it was the air. It's muggy. Maybe it's the clothes. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like something's not sitting right in my stomach. I repelled going to weddings. I still do. No, thank you. No, like I love you. I will attend some.
Yeah.
I'm very selective and I'm very picky with that because I can just feel the frequency of the marriage, like the wedding, sorry, because it's actual sacred
Yeah.
union, right? And it's all about captivating the woman.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. I think I've hit that point. I love dressing up. You know what I mean? For me, being put together makes me feel like I'm put together on the inside too. So it's more of like a trifold layered situation for me. So I would love going, but now it's too much. There's a lot of the kavat. It's
Mhm.
all about the showing off,
Yeah,
who's
that's
got
true.
like the best
Yeah.
decor, who's wearing this, who's wearing that. I don't even think it's about the people anymore. And just being in the wedding industry myself, that's a lot that I see who can go the most viral. And
Mm,
it's like, are we not paying attention to what's at stake here? Like the sacred union? But I also cannot squeeze myself into the drinking culture either anymore.
yeah,
It's every day, every single day, even before the sacred union, the marriage ceremony. There's a lot around that that I physically cannot tolerate anymore. So I refuse to go.
yeah.
God bless you. I'm so happy for your marriage and stuff, but I physically, Gia, I will also feel nauseous there.
I feel nauseous at weddings. I literally feel like I'm gonna vomit something out.
Yeah.
I can't sit. Like literally my body gets so jittery. I'm like, I have to, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, no, something here is not right. Like, even like the vows, I highly recommend you literally look at your vows. Look at the wordage to it. You don't want imprinting a
Yeah.
couple times. You don't want to bind and curse yourself
Hmm.
into lifetimes with somebody ever, no matter how much you love them now.
Yeah.
And I just have this awareness because of clearly the work I do and everything. But you're right. The people pleasing, the drinking culture, It's a big ego festival for a lot of people.
It is, and they make it about themselves. There's so much drama throughout the wedding week. And it's like because the Indian community can never be happy for one another, right? They have their own issues
Hmm.
and they refuse to look at themselves in the mirror, so they have to kind of project their issues onto everybody else. So it's a lot to deal with. So I've kind of distanced myself as well with attending like all seven functions. Now they've added the goat meat party into it as well, and it's just a whole 7 day thing that again is way too long and I give out too much of my energy there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally how I feel too. And I'm also sober. Like I haven't drank in like I think 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drink either. And you're right. I didn't actually even that even occurred to me because I don't really pay attention, I guess, to that point. But like everything is around drinking.
Everything.
Everything. Yeah. I didn't even take that into consideration actually. That's so true.
Yeah.
I think even with drinking, the way we've been taught to drink culturally is so toxic as well. And I feel very, very bad for the youth, the men that can't see beyond that. I
Yeah.
honestly do. When you open a bottle, it does not mean you have to empty it.
Yeah. That was a very, very hard understanding that I had to come to terms with
Yeah.
because when you have alcoholism running through the family and you start drinking as well, you are prone to developing those habits.
Yes.
And I was doing it to fit in and just, have a good time because I also thought in order to have a good time, you have to drink. But physically, Gia, I would feel like shit for months. Even if I have like 3 drinks or something, I would feel like absolute shit physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I felt like I was getting depressed again. And my face was breaking out, even with just 1 drink, that would happen. So I knew that my body could not taken the substance anymore. And now, yeah, I may choose, once or twice of the year if I really, really want to. Again, because I am in my sovereignty, I'm not letting other people dictate how I have fun.
Yeah.
I will choose if I want to drink, but I will always decide that for myself.
Yeah. And I'm super proud that you acknowledged that and you honored your body in that because a lot of people, again, people pleasing, right? That cycle, it's so toxic
Yeah.
that keeps them in these bad habits. They want to fit in.
Yeah.
So the,
Especially men too, right? It is hard for them. And as a married woman now, I've been married for 3 years. If I don't drink, people will just come at you with the assumptions. Oh, do you have like happy news for us? Like blah, blah,
oh,
blah.
wow.
And it's always like, no, I just choose not to. Like I like my skin and my liver way too much and I don't want to age quickly, and then they'll shut up. You kind of have to, I don't want to say match their energy, but you have to give them that sort of response that they click out of it.
Yeah.
And for men, it's even harder because the music we listen to, Punjabi music. I'm going to say something here. A lot of people are not going to disagree with me on this, but I cannot listen to Punjabi music for long periods of time. Yeah, hall party or, once in a while I can listen to it, but just the lyrics, they don't align with me.
They're so
My nervous system starts feeling weird. Like my shoulders hunch up, like it's a legit physical response. So, anyways, going back to men, it's even more difficult for them because I can imagine the peer pressure. Like sometimes my husband will be like, I don't want to drink either because it's funny that whenever you start it, your partner kind of aligns as well on their own time. But I've never told my husband, oh yeah, like you should stop drinking, blah blah blah. It just kind of happened for him naturally. But if he'll decline a drink, people will literally go off. And they'll be like, no, no, just like have one, like blah blah shots, this and that, blah blah blah. Like you should, otherwise you're this, you're that, and start using cuss words, right? It's a whole circus,
childish.
like you said. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's very childish. Yeah. My response usually, if you're like, oh, so what do you do for fun? I just go, I orgasm.
It's so funny because I never know what's gonna come out of here.
Me either, Nancy. No idea doesn't come out of my mouth either. That's why people don't like some people really avoid me. They're like, no, no, don't talk to her.
Mhm.
The heck's gonna come flying out of my mouth. But I
Yeah,
mean, yes, I do with good intentions. I'm just really honest. Like I
yeah,
speak the truth, and only some people have the capacity to take in the truth.
yeah, yeah.
So that's what it is. But yeah, that's literally my response. I just go, yeah, I orgasm. And they just stare at me like, what? I'm like, oh, you haven't done it before? Poor you. So, like
Yeah.
it's just all of that. But yeah, like, thriving and taking all of these experiences from childhood, being constantly told to look a certain way because you have to fit into the Indian community, but you're in a Western setting, that
Mhm.
confusion that they kept looping us into constantly as well, right? Because it gets confusing. It does, right?
Yeah.
But again, turning that into gold. My next actual last question for you as well would be, how do you handle not even handle, because I know you don't handle them, you probably just alchemize them into gold, but people's projections. How do you
So,
manage or handle those?
it is difficult, right? Because you see their conditioning. I kind of look at their truth. I don't put myself in their shoes. I look at their truth. What is their programming? What did they grow up with? What were they taught? And you kind of so I used to be this whole justice warrior, right? Again, found my voice. I was very excited to use it when I was younger, and people would project onto me, and I would obviously being in my light, I would tell them right away. I would tell them off like right away, right? Why are you being angry at me? Like what is your problem? But then that would create rifts in relationships a lot. So now I just remove myself from the situation until they see what value I bring to the table. Then they apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have, been angry at you or said this. I literally remove myself from the equation because it is too much energy for me to even try to show you what you're doing. And with my belief in the universe now, I am sure that they will be shown one day what they're doing does not align with them. I don't need to do that anymore because I used to really take it upon myself to
Yeah.
be like, you should change, you should evolve into society, blah, 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 blah. What you're doing isn't right. But then it also it hits their ego as well, right? Because they're like, who are you to tell me? Right. So I just remove myself from the equation now, Gia, and it is the best thing ever. I preserve my energy
Yeah.
and I get to decide who I want to communicate with and who I want in my life. I have full trust in that, full trust in the universe. Whoever's meant to be in my life will be in my life. But they will also see, okay, you know what? I miss Nancy. I want her in my life, blah, blah, blah. I should treat her better. I shouldn't have to fight for how I should be treated. So that's kind of what I do. That's like the secret formula that I've been using so far, and that one has been working out.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I definitely agree on that part.
Yeah,
I literally, that's why I said the word handle, manage, like I was like, oh, I don't know about that because we don't handle them or manage them. We actually don't. I don't either. If someone's really projecting onto me, like, oh, you should be married by this age, what are you doing? Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah, this and that, right? I
yeah,
literally will, I walk away from them immediately. I'm like, okay, whoa, peace out. Like, this is not my vibe.
yeah,
I'm not vibing with you. I don't owe you any answers of my life. No, thank you. Because I literally only show up in circles now that celebrate me, that can hold space for me and are judgment free.
yeah,
Literally judgment free, because judgment free spaces hold the capacity to love you unconditionally. And I know we spoke about this a couple of days ago too, where a lot, and I think this is more on a collective level, it's not even a cultural programming, where a lot of us confuse unconditional love with comfort.
yeah,
It's like, where are you comfortable, but where are you showing up as with unconditional love, giving and receiving?
Hmm.
right? Because a lot of us will start dimming our light and contracting and doing things for our loved ones and our family because, oh, we don't want to hurt them. We want to provide them comfort. I don't want them to get mad. Oh, it's okay. Let's just comfort them. I love them. But do you? Is this unconditional love? Because if you are coming from unconditional love and you are truly showing up for this person, you would tell them as it is. You would not provide them comfort just to sake of comforting them.
Exactly. That's not, I don't find that a real relationship as well. That is so surface level, and I'm so sick of surface level. I crave very deep relationships that have substance.
Yes.
Comfort is not, it's not in the equation for me. It
No.
has to be unconditional for me to have a good relationship.
I'm 100%, I 100% back that up, like 100%. And I've always noticed that when it comes from a very unconditional space, you grow the most in those spaces too.
Hmm.
You actually grow the most in those spaces. The parents that love their children unconditionally, their kids are thriving. Or that kid that received a lot of unconditional love from a grandparent, they're thriving. All of that. It's really the unconditional love. And unconditional love has no picture, it has no attachments. It allows others to be sovereign.
Yeah.
Right? So again, talking about relationships too, right? Like a lot of parents, and I've always noticed, especially in our culture, right? Um, they'll form attachments with their children and they'll try to keep their hooks anchored in them for the longest time, forever, if they can, forever. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
your mother. I know better than you. I'm your mother. I can do this for you, do that. But that is not unconditional love. That is attachment. And
Yeah.
you're basically leaning into them because you're not comfortable being by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that so much happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to say in society, actually, coming up again and again, where it's just such a attachment formed and it's not healthy. It's not healthy because you're, even though the individual on the receiving end may be very strong, very aware, you're still latching energy onto them and pulling them down, and they are feeling it. I promise you, they're feeling it, and
Yeah.
they're not able to make the moves that they need to make for their growth.
Yeah. You see it a lot, right? In a lot of families where they'll have like one narcissistic parent, and what it does to the children, it's, I can't even like, yeah, it very, very difficult and very sad. But again, you have to break out of that. It seems impossible because this person has so much control over you, but you can do it.
That's the
Right.
thing. Control is an illusion
Yeah.
because, again, you're a sovereign being.
Hmm.
And if you are deciding them, if you are letting them control you, that's a choice you are making again.
Yeah.
It's a
Completely.
choice you're making again because there is nothing in the world that can actually really control you.
Yep.
It's your mind that you're giving so much credit to,
Hmm.
which is just made for functioning, by the way. You should actually be in your heart, but
Yeah.
you're allowing your mind to literally control you in thinking that someone is controlling you.
Yeah.
Like this stuff is very, very deep.
It is deep. Yeah.
It's very, very deep. But I understand the narcissistic parent thing as well because I've had firsthand experience with that. And it's not to say relationships don't change because everything is a contract, right? Like you may not get along with a parent now, it may shift,
Yeah.
whatever that is, right? They're all contracts and they're always shifting for us in the highest good. So when dealing with a narcissistic parent, I energetically, you can cut the cords, you can remove the blockages, you can literally do all the inner work. You can change your entire energetic circuitry board out. You can do that. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But until, and I'm going to really, really be real with this, until you don't decide to literally have a physical boundary from this person, you will not be able to shift.
Yeah.
You need
And
a little distance from this person.
yeah, and I think when you realize that it is more beneficial for the relationship when you focus on yourself and when you pour into yourself, that's where the change also happens. Because in that relationship, you're always tiptoeing, you're on eggshells all the time because your whole world revolves around this person, right? They've made you believe that. When you detach from that energetically and you start pouring your energy back into yourself, that is where the change begins as well.
Yeah, 100%. But
Yeah.
I've seen it again and again and again. That is true, removing the cords and coming back into your own home. But the physical space,
Yeah, the space is necessary.
you need that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need your own little vortex
Yeah.
where you can just be
Mhm.
and not be constantly, literally crowded by their energy and frequency and thoughts.
100%. Yeah.
When you are in a space and you're living in a home, you're
Mhm.
actually picking up every individual's thoughts in that neighborhood because energy has no walls, it has no bedrooms, it has nothing.
Mhm.
So unless you can make the choice every single day and set your intentions and choose how you want to live and how
Yeah.
you want to think and not allow your mind to control you, but you be in control in full authority
Yeah.
of your being, the shifting will be very difficult for you.
Yeah. That's why I think it's so important for everybody to at least experience one time living on their own. I think it's an absolute must because you learn so much about yourself as well. And you have a space to grow physically, you have your own space to call your own, and it is the best time for you to get in touch with your sovereignty too. But the way that our culture is programmed, especially for women, it's very difficult.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Also, what I don't understand about all cultures are oh, I'm starting to lose words, but our culture is that there's a lot of shaming behind renting.
Yeah, there is.
I don't understand that. A roof is a roof. You're paying a mortgage, you're paying rent. It's the same thing. You're investing in your home.
Yeah.
Wherever you take your vessel is your home. So I don't understand I don't understand it. I really don't on a personal level, but there's such a shaming on that. And I feel like it's really because our parents immigrated here, they lived on rent and they busted their asses to buy houses and to build that they think it's a downgrade if their children go live on rent again.
Yeah.
And it's an ego thing. It is
it,
100%.
it is.
But the thing is, there's no shaming in that. If you need peace and peace is your priority,
Yep.
well, then that's your priority.
Exactly. That's what they don't understand though,
Yeah.
right? Because they're still in this survival like kind of perspective, and they're still like they haven't fully recovered. I see most parents and they're still working their butts off as
Yep.
if they're still in the 90s, which I understand. You got the mortgage to pay and everything, but they never get out of that scarcity mindset and they push that mindset onto us
Yes.
as their children. So it's important to break out of that as well.
Yeah. And you need your physical space for that.
Yeah.
And if you can't move out, go to parks, go on hikes by yourself.
Yep. Connect with nature, go on walks. It's the easiest thing to just walk
Yeah.
around in your neighborhood or drive to a park somewhere.
Yeah.
But get out,
Get
get
out.
your body physically out.
Yes. And get in your environment, connect with your being. It's so, so important.
It is.
Okay. All right. Are you feeling complete, Nancy?
Um, yes, yeah, I'm feeling complete. I feel like this was a great conversation.
Yeah, because I can feel my consciousness shifting a little bit. Like, okay, this topic is done.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, perfect. So, I will have Nancy's Instagram, TikTok, everything linked below in the description so you can find her and see her beautiful offerings. I do want to end this episode and let you know that I recognize the sense of urgency of empowering you outside of your programming and calling forth all sovereign beings and people that especially are feel like are living lives that are not theirs and are living in their head 100% of the time because that's not where it's supposed to be either. That's also a programming. I highly encourage you to join my event that will be happening on July 7th live, where I will be doing all energetic clearing around this programming. And this is exactly the clearing I've done on my clients and myself to move you forward and accelerate you on your timeline. And of course, to call in miracles, because that is when miracles happen when you hold light and space for them. So I'm definitely doing that. I will be adding a second day to it in the same price. I haven't announced the second day yet. But however, if that is something up your alley and you enjoyed our conversation today, like, comment, subscribe, and we can see you live on July 7th. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Sending you all so much love.